Sorry, y'all. You know, when you try to get ready to the last second, that was what was happening. Okay.
Welcome everybody
Welcome
to show number. I almost said to show number 99.
Whoop whoop whoop.
What's up, G? And today we are talking about the ripples of change, or basically the impact of female voices.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's the first Saturday of March, y'all.
It is.
I'm so
excited.
excited.
All right, so go ahead.
Okay, so today and throughout the month of March, we're celebrating Women's History Month by diving deep into the stories that shape us, empower us, and path us, and push us past us.
Push us past
Push us. Push us to the forefront of change. Okay, finally. Goodness gracious. Today's episode is all about the ripples of change. How a woman's action, a young girl's voice, one moment of bravery can cascade through time to empower generations.
Amen to that.
It's like when a single pebble is dropped into the water, and then the ripples spread far and wide, just as our actions can influence countless lives. So today we celebrate the enduring impact of female voices today. So join our conversation in the chat and go ahead and like, share, and tag someone. So let's get into it.
All right. Well, before we get into it, if you don't mind, we just want to shout out Sister Tanisha, who's in the chat, always with us, and whoever else is here with us, in the chat. And if you're not in the chat, as Wisdom Girl said, welcome. So listen, you mentioned how our actions, like pebbles dropped into the water, can influence countless lives, right? And speaking of influence, let's start with someone who's been a pebble in a vast ocean. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The notorious RGB. And if you haven't watched RBG. If you haven't watched the movie, go check it out. It's powerful. If you need to learn, if you need to learn, some more about her, there's a movie. I forgot if it's on Prime. I think it's on Prime. Might be Netflix, honestly, somewhere.
I'm just trying to focus on the new biopic of Shirley Chisholm.
Okay, well, we're not talking about Shirley Chisholm right now, but she's, hey shout out to Miss Shirley. But anyway, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, her dedication to equality left ripples that turned into waves of change for women's rights. And she was a force. She was definitely a force. But Ruth didn't start as a giant wave. She started as that single small pebble attending law school as one of the few women in her class and facing discrimination head on. And so she's known for this famous quote. And she said, "Women belong in all places where decisions are being made." And didn't she just embody that? Didn't she do just that? And it's a call to all of us to step into those places where women belong.
Isn't it? Wait, just to make sure, wasn't she a judge or was she a lawyer?
She was a lawyer.
Or maybe was she both?
I'm not sure if she was a judge, but she definitely was a lawyer. She was very influential politically and changed the game. Like, she tore down and like burst open doors or busted through doors. Was the first to do a lot of things, and people didn't want her to have that seat, that judge seat. They didn't want her to do the things that she did, but she, it was that ripple that she just dropped that pebble in water and created a ripple effect, because now there are plenty of female, not enough, but plenty of female lawyers, judges, politicians, etc.
Yeah, Michelle Obama was a lawyer.
Yeah, still is.
She is.
She's not practicing, but she's still a lawyer. She's still,
Anyway, And it's not just about being in those places. It's about making those crucial decisions.
Yeah.
That's the empowerment. Slay queens. Period.
Yeah, for sure.
So, listeners, why, where are those places for you?
Yeah.
Is it in the boardroom, at a town hall, or within your own family? Where are those places that you belong and where decisions are being made?
That's a good question. Y'all let us know in the chat. You know, a lot of times we don't think about where we belong. We just let other people dictate where we belong. So let us know where are those places where you know you belong, where decisions are being made.
Yeah.
You know, and just to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, is not just about the grand gestures, right? Empowerment can be in the everyday acts, you know, advocating for yourself in small meetings. You know, we got to get to that. We got to learn how to advocate for ourselves, supporting other women and young girls, right? Choosing to challenge stereotypes. And it's in the everyday where we find our strength, everyday decisions, everyday actions, where we find our strength.
As you should.
Yeah. So, speaking of strength, let's talk about somebody who you might not know her name, but you know what she did. So, what's her name?
Tarana Burke.
Tarana Burke, who started the Me Too movement. Okay, so here is an amazing woman. Again, this is Women's History Month, and we're talking about ripples of change and the impact, the influence of female voices. And so, all right, Miss Tarana Burke, she started the Me Too movement, I should say, started with simple yet powerful words. What were they?
Me too.
Me too, right? And talk about ripples. I mean, that was powerful. These two little words became a global solidarity movement, showing the world that there's immense power in shared experiences, right? So that's the beauty of this journey that we're on. We may not always see immediate impact of our personal actions, but we're part of a larger story being written, you know, and every single story counts. Your story counts. So understand that, listeners, that your story counts, whether you're a mentor or a mother, you know, a daughter, an entrepreneur, a grandmother, a grandchild, you know, a student. You have the power to create ripples of your own. I'm wondering what you feel about that. You know, kind of let us know in the chat what you feel about that. How you know you understand that everything counts, that every story counts. And you know what's so crazy? That some people count out their own story. Like they think that their lives are so insignificant that it doesn't matter. Can you imagine if Tarana Burke from the Me Too movement thought that, or Miss Ruth Bader Ginsburg thought that? Can you imagine if they say, you know what, my story doesn't count, I'm just gonna sit back here and just
bye.
Yeah, I mean, so many changes would not have happened.
I mean, I didn't know who Tarana Burke was until Black Girls Rock.
Okay. Well, you know, her name became big during the pandemic, actually. I mean, she was around longer than that, but it was the pandemic that really pushed her name and her movement forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when we talk about ripples of change or the ripple effect, however you want to talk about it, we're really talking about the influence and impact that women have.
Yeah.
And it's about how one action can trigger a series of reaction, much like a chain reaction, you know, like, and it's a beautiful thing because it speaks to the potential that each of us holds.
Oh, I love that.
Think about how Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus. It wasn't just about that one moment. It was the pebble that created ripples leading to the Montgomery bus boycott getting popular.
Right.
And further expanding the civil rights movement.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, if she hadn't done that, that one act, then we probably wouldn't know, even though we know she was not the only one. She was not the first one, but she was the one that they said, okay, through you, we're going to, we're going to make sure that the Montgomery boycott is in effect. Again, ripples of change. And we're going to start with you. And, it was that bus, and then the next bus, and then the next bus, and these group of people, all fearful because they didn't know how white people would respond to them, or their bosses for that matter, those who did domestic work, but they did it anyhow. What do you think about that?
I mean, honestly, this is just me personally. I love the civil rights movement. Like, I just love the time period. I mean, of course, I didn't like what happened in the time period,
right.
But like, there's something about the civil rights movement, and specifically females, because the civil rights movement paved the way into the 70s for the Black Panthers and Harlem, Miss Angela Davis.
Yeah.
And more. So I just really like that.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty dope.
Yeah, and women participated greatly in the civil rights movement, even though we don't always get the credit. Let me give a shout out before we move forward to Gina Scurry, who's in the chat and who's checking us out. Thank you so much for being here and for tuning in. Please come back. All right. So Tanisha says, truthfully, I sometimes think that my story doesn't matter, but because of platforms like WGWW reminding me to be encouraged. Thank you, because that's what we want to do. Stay encouraged and speak well over myself and to trust God's plan for me. Yes, I know my story may speak to another woman, young or old. It may encourage them. Absolutely. And that's the whole point. Like, our stories absolutely matter, and when we silence our stories, then that really means that somebody is not breaking free, or somebody's not being encouraged to tell their own story. And we got to silence the shyness, or silence the our own critique over ourselves, so that we can tell stories, because they all matter.
As we should.
Her famous line, as we should.
Okay. Plus, the ripple effect isn't just a straight line from A to B. It is multi-dimensional.
That's a
tongue twister. Multi-dimensional.
But it is. Yeah, you're right.
Reaching out in all different directions, touching lives we may not even be aware of. And it multiplies. Yeah. One act of empowerment can inspire others, who then inspire more, like Malala Yousafzai.
You said that good.
No, I can't. No, I could have.
Don't try to say her name again.
Who stood up for girls' education in Pakistan and became the youngest Nobel Prize. Ooh.
That is laureate.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Her courage has sparked a global movement and inspired countless young girls to advocate for their rights. Her actions have empowered young women worldwide to stand up for their rights, as she should.
You know what's so amazing about this? First of all, the culture in Pakistan. The culture in Pakistan is very different than the culture in America. And women and young girls, we don't have the same rights as men. And for her, this young girl, I wish we knew how old she was, but apparently
she's 40.
No, she's a girl. She's a young girl. She's not 40. She's not a woman.
She may not be 40.
She's a...
She may not. I said she may not be 40. She may be 20. She may be 30.
She's probably teenage, I think. We should Google it. We should Google her name. Here, Google her name.
Okay.
Take my phone and Google her while I make my point.
Okay.
But what's so amazing is that she stood up and she was courageous, to talk about education and to, spark that global. She's 20. Well, she might be 26 now, which is young. I wonder how old she was at this point.
She probably was a teenager back then. I thought you were talking about now. She's like probably 20.
Okay.
Like,
but anyway, it's just amazing that she did that because, truth be told, women can be silenced, for things that they stand up for in Pakistan. But shout out to Miss Malala. Don't ask me to say her last name. I
it's pretty.
But you know what? Also, kind of getting back to ripples of change and the idea of it, it's also about passing wisdom, isn't it? Like,
I'm trying to think of her name.
Okay, but as you're thinking, like when a woman shares her story, okay, and this is to all of us, right? Whether you're a woman or a girl or a young girl, a lot of times we don't share our stories. We, particularly women of color, we close up our story because we believe, or we've been taught or trained or raised to like take one for the team, and to make sure that your family is good, that you're the glue that holds it. And that is true. We really are. Women, all women are really the glue that kind of holds things together, whether it's said or it's hush hush. Sometimes you gotta let the men think, but there's a reason why God created the woman after the man. And anyway, that ain't what this show's about.
I'm just gonna let you have your credit. You go ahead.
Yeah. But we gotta share our story. So when it's wisdom. It's wisdom when we share our stories, when we share our struggles, our triumphs, and it can validate someone else's experience and give them the courage to speak out too. And that's what we have to do. And each story shared, each voice that's raised adds a larger narrative. It's like each of us is a thread in a tapestry, and together we're creating a picture far greater than our individual stories. And that's the thing that we really have to understand as women as we celebrate during the month of March. All right, so there's somebody else we want to talk about who is a champion, and so that's Greta Thunberg. All right, so Greta Thunberg is a teenager who skipped school. Now, we're not encouraging teenagers or young girls to skip school, but here's a point to this story. So she skipped school to protest climate change outside the Sweden parliament. And she sparked an international movement of students demanding urgent action to protect the environment. Boy, let me tell you something. If we could just do that here in America. But anyway, so, their stories, the ones that we mentioned, their stories are just the beginning. Okay. Across the globe, young girls are standing up. They're speaking out and initiating racial equality and more. And what's so compelling is their unapologetic approach. I love that. They're claiming their space in the public discourse, not just as future leaders, but as influential voices of today. And when I look at you, when I look at your sister, I see that. I see you guys, and not just you, but, other girls your age as that, as influential leaders today, not just for the future, but right now, the things that you do, the things that you stand up for, how you use your voice, to express yourself. That is being a leader. That is being a leader. And we women cannot silence that voice, because when we silence the young voices, we are doing the same thing to young girls that our forefathers or people before us did to us. We can't repeat. We can't stop the change. We got to be the ripples of change and allow them to be ripples of change also,
as they should be.
What are your thoughts? I mean, do you feel like you're a leader of change? Do you feel like, I know that's a heavy question because nobody really feels that, even those who names are in history books always says, I don't feel that. Just as an example, this person is not a female, but I remember hearing Giannis I can't say his last name. Giannis, the basketball player, the Greek basketball player, right? Whose brothers, all his brothers, they play basketball. From the Milwaukee Bucks, and I remember him, an amazing basketball player, one of the top. I remember him saying he doesn't feel like he's one of the top players; that he's still trying to get there. As gifted, talented as he is, broke record after record after record, he doesn't feel that. So I just mentioned that because
what team does he play for?
The Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, okay.
I said that because a lot of times we don't see what other people see in us. So when I ask you that question, I'm wondering, like, do you see yourself now at 12 being a leader, being influential?
Maybe.
Okay,
Maybe
that's
not.
good. So when you
I
say
don't know.
maybe, what do you mean?
I don't know. I'm only 12. Like, I barely lived.
But I mean, think of yeah.
Like, I mean, based off of what people say, maybe. Like, I'm starting to see it, but like, I've barely lived, so I really don't know.
Do you feel like you've done things to kind of bring to light certain things or to help people? I mean, what you do on this platform?
I mean, I can discount.
What do y'all think? What do y'all think? I wonder our audience. I'm wondering. Yeah, what?
I'm answering your question.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Let me just read some of our comments. Sister Tanisha says, absolutely, their voices have to be heard. Yes. And Sunday's Best, Sister Carol says, we must encourage the young girls to push forward with everything that they are. Absolutely. 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 And, we don't want to silence voices. So, we encourage, we push forward. All right. So what else do we have? What about going back to this whole idea of the ripple effect, right? How can we, as women, as young girls, how can we create the ripple?
Well, for one, we could start by having a female president.
Okay.
I don't care, black or white. We just need a female up
there.
You
know what? We sure do, because these men are doing a horrible job.
I mean, they're not doing bad.
These last two,
but there's the same problems that have been going on for 50 plus years. Like, we need a female up there.
Okay.
Like black or white. At this point, I don't care.
Yeah. Okay, I kind of agree with you.
Maybe Michelle could go in office.
Well,
Michelle, Kamala, somebody.
We
please.
wanted that, before, but that didn't happen. Somebody. But okay, let's see. Sister Tanisha said this platform in her sermons, meaning you, I definitely see her influences. DNT Carol says truth. Yeah. But okay, so the ripple effect, like what can we do on a daily basis? We know we talked about just everyday things that we can do, that impact even in our families. Like what, because I really believe that all of us have more influence than we think, good or bad, negative or positive. We have more influence than we think. And we have to take the energy and the time that we have and create something that really impacts in a positive way. Girls first. And we're not excluding boys, but girls have more of a struggle, in my opinion, in this world, So when you think of your generation, like what are some of the things that y'all can do to like make impact and that creates a ripple?
I mean, we could be nice because like my kids nowadays are savage.
Okay, well, aside from that,
trust me, I know.
Aside from that,
stay in school, kids. Okay.
What about like in the community, in the church, if
well, I mean, I saw in the news that this boy was picking up trash.
Yeah. Now see, and what will happen is that other people will see him picking up trash and join in.
Like Dr. Martin Luther King's granddaughter.
What about her?
She
talk to the people. Yeah.
She was like I forgot what she did. I googled her yesterday. Oh, she was like protesting on gun violence.
That's good. Yeah.
Somebody else.
Well, I think any little thing because we mentioned it. It's the small things, right? It's not just public figures, right, that we talk about that can make change, ripples of change. But there are girls in every community who are making waves, whether it's starting a book club, right?
We should do that.
Yeah. Organize a community cleanup like what you were just talking about, or advocating for safer schools, all of those things. It's the ripple effect in real time. And these young girls and women inspire their peers, influence adults, and change the minds of policymakers. That's what Ruth Bader Ginsburg did. Ginsburg. No, that's what she did. She influenced policymaking. Malala, the Pakistani woman. She influenced policymakers, and their actions created a series of ripples that can turn into a tidal wave of societal transformation. And that's what it's all about. Transforming society and allowing girls and women to do what they do best.
Mm-hmm. Or like Misty Copeland.
Yeah.
The Avenelli after Avenelli. That's what I call her.
Yeah, yeah. That story is tremendous. I mean,
I love her story.
She didn't start learning ballet until she was, I think, 15 years old.
Look at her.
So be encouraged. Just never. And
then she was told that she couldn't dance again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had to watch her documentary in school.
Yeah, powerful. Well, we thank y'all for tuning in today. We are going to be talking about women and young girls in Women History Month throughout the entire month. What do you got to say about
it? Stay tuned because it's going to be a great show as always.
Yeah. And what about next week? What's happening next week?
Starting next week, which is the 9th.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on it. Check your calendars.
Today's the 2nd. It's the 9th.
Mm-hmm. So, starting next week, we're going to be transferring our time from 2:00 to 5:00. Mm-hmm. I don't know what else to say.
2:00 to 5:00. But something special about next week. What is it?
Oh, it's our 100th episode.
It's our 100th episode. And so we got a special show that we're going to do, a special 100th episode that we want all of you to be a part of. And we're going to have some giveaways. So be here for that. And please, what we want them to do, to like,
share,
tag,
subscribe,
hit the bell,
follow,
all of those things. And whatever else you can think of, email, text, all of that. And let people know WGWW is on the air and we are always here. Shout out to Karen Wilson Palmer, who's in the chatting with us, to create a ripple effect. Use your voice to speak out against injustice. Yes, become a volunteer in the community, which she is one of those who creates ripple effects. So proud of everything that she does. All right. Thank y'all so much. You want to say something to the audience, to the people?
We said everything. I mean, I usually do that. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe.
Oh yeah, well, we did that.
We did that.
All right.
So,
bye. Bye. See you next week for the 100th episode. We love you.